Kia ora Aotearoa, welcome whānau to the War on News, your weekly sacred cow's law and assault on current affairs, beam live from the Palatial Stratus news bunker, buried deep beneath the heart of the Greyland Republic. If this show was a piece of pop art to celebrate the death of Osama bin Laden, it would be from the Martin Bradbury collection, on loan from the Art Museum of Pop Culture Cynicism. In tonight's political media crimes against recent kill zone, US military shoot elderly unarmed man dead, world celebrates, USA, USA, USA. Don Brash zombie returns from political grave wanting fresh brains. Hone costs country $500,000 for by-election, while yachting New Zealand costs the taxpayer $34 million. I'd take the 68 by-elections, thanks. Plus this week's Sex in the Super City, Wanko of the Week, and the Barack Obama People's Hero of the Week Award. Leading the war on news this week, brothers and sisters, poor Rodney Hyde. The little orange Oompa Loompa of hate has been tossed aside like yesterday's political cum rag. His resigning from Parliament is a terrible end to a corporate coup led by Don Mary Get Too Much Brash. But before we let Rodney dance away into the twilight of Epsom, let's put the boot in one more time and remind ourselves that his passing is like that of a kidney stone. Painful, but well worth it once you've pissed him away. Rodney Hyde was the man who rammed legislation through to destroy Auckland and set up a bullshit Maori statutory board that is costing ratepayers millions. He's the man who green-lighted the despicable David Garrett, who turned out to be the largest political hypocrite this country has ever seen. Rodney was the man who bullied with sexist glee his only female MP. Rodney was a man who built his political career on perk busting, yet once inside the power he so desperately wanted, went on to a massive taxpayer-funded overseas jaunt with his girlfriend. And finally, Rodney is a man who reminds us that there are worse things than an ACT party led by Rodney Hyde. Brothers and sisters, after describing his good friend Rodney Hyde as toxic damaged goods, Don Mary Get Too Much Brash went on to declare he found any insinuation that he is racist as racist against rich white old men like him. That's right, folks. Other than take over the ACT party in a corporate coup, Don Brash also this week founded Rich White Old Men Against Racism Towards Rich White Old Men. Don fondly refers to it as the Other Koru Club for short. Don isn't racist, he's casually racist. The way your drunk uncle you only see at Christmas is casually racist. When Don Brash foams about one law for all, let's recall the words of Thomas Jefferson. There is nothing more unequal than equal treatment of unequal people. Don Brash is casually racist in that he wants to ignore the previous history of disenfranchisement of Māori and pretend we are all equal, when the distance between elites like him and the reality of the 40% of New Zealanders who earn less than $20,000 per annum has never been further apart. Pretending we are equal and demanding the same treatment based on that fallacy leads to injustice, but it's so seductive. Expect your grandparents to be changing their vote from Winston to Donald Brash this election. Remember, whānau, responsible grandchildren don't let Nana and Papa go to the ballot box on election day. To the headlines, whānau. US military shoot elderly unarmed man dead. World celebrates. USA, USA, USA. So after nearly a decade, $1 trillion, hundreds of thousands dead, the war of terror comes to its next weary chapter with the death of an elderly unarmed man whose location was found by using information taken under torture. It sounds less brutal than an ACT party leadership coup. Now we've won our self-created war on terror, can we stop invading the Middle East by any chance? The only person not celebrating Osama's death is Adam Yahi Garden, who now moves into #1 spot on the FBI's most wanted list. I wonder how that promotion went down with Adam's girlfriend over the phone. Yes, I know I said it was only a weekend online supervisor role, but it's grown into a real job now. No, I'm still not getting paid, but I hope to pick up some work with Hezbollah if they like what I'm doing. I've got to go. Predator drone overhead. Allah Akbar. I love how the retrospectives of Osama all come to that point in his history where the CIA funded him that the narrator always mumbles a bit. What have we learnt in a decade? Osama bin Laden was created by Western foreign policy. We couldn't give him enough guns when he was killing Soviets, but didn't see that we were seeding the grounds for a pathological monster. Osama made the connection that there was no point fighting the regimes in the Middle East that the West propped up. He concluded the taxpayers of America were as legitimate as a target as military ones because it was the overarching Washington Consensus global economic hegemonic structure that funded the repression of Muslim countries. You would think after such spectacular blowback that we would at least stop sowing the seeds of tomorrow's monsters with today's black ops budgets. But no. We are seeding the monsters in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan and Tajikistan while continuing to prop up CIA client dictatorships. Turns out the West was the weapon of mass destruction. Moving on with the headlines, whānau. Don Brash Zombie returns from political grave wanting fresh brains. So this is Don's last chance for his wide-eyed free market dogma to be implemented with devastating purity. Would he be satisfied as finance minister? We all know his ambition is for prime ministership. Even if Key gave Don finance, at some point his far-right economic Darwinism would spook all moderates and Key would be forced to pull back. Would that stop Don? We all know it wouldn't. He's rolled one national leader and he's toppled Rodney without even being a member of ACT. His takeover of ACT was a corporate coup led by ACT's big money mafia. They would pull the exact same game with Key. Key has already said he'd leave if he lost. Nationals caucus will cut a deal with Don under Key if it meant government. The Montgomery Burns of New Zealand politics ambition is far bigger than John Key's resolve. A vote for John is a vote for Don. Moving on with the headlines, whānau. Hone cost country $500,000 for by-election, while yachting New Zealand cost the taxpayer $34 million. I'd take the 68 by-elections, thanks. Hone launched the Mana Party last week. It was called the Mana Party because mana is one of the few Māori words that Pākehā feel comfortable voting for. Much criticism has been thrown Hone's way because of the $500,000 by-election cost, but do we really want the alternative to democratic process? Do we really want what the right wing did? A corporate coup by someone who wasn't even a member of the party, cut behind the scenes in secret behind closed door meetings? How democratic is that? How democratic is it for a corporate coup to parachute in a far-right leader with zero mandate from a party he wasn't even a member of? How disgusting is that? Phil Goff and Russell Norman have ruled out working with Hone, but whānau, we all know they will pick up the phone and call Hone after the election because Phil Goff and Russell Norman are patriots. If Labour, the Greens, the Māori Party and Mana Party have the parliamentary majority to defeat Brash and Key, we know that Phil and Russell are bridge-building consensus makers who will reach out to the Mana Party to save New Zealand from the worst excesses of privatisation. See, I could say that last bit without laughing. You owe me $5. Whānau, are you feeling sexy? It's Sex in the Super City time. What sucks more, a tornado over Albany or cutbacks to public transport when demand is growing? Well, seeing as one person died in the tornado, probably the tornado. But cutting back on subsidies to public transport when more people are using them still sucks. How bad is public transport in Auckland? Cattle trucks to abattoirs are more comfortable. This cut back to public transport comes when it is revealed that Auckland parking fees are amongst the world's most expensive. It is cheaper to park on the lawn of the White House than downtown Auckland. How come we have $1 billion to waste on pointless Puhoi motorway extensions so that cabinet ministers can get to their weekend batches quicker, but we don't have enough money to invest in public transport to get Aucklanders out of their cars to free up space on our motorways so we can use them more efficiently? What plan is there to increase Auckland's mere 8% commuting rate? There isn't one. It's just motorways, more motorways, and yet some more bloody motorways. Tornadoes are more reliable as a means of public transport than Auckland's buses and rail. Whānau, let's hand out this week's Wanko of the Week award. Brothers and sisters, this week's Wank O' the Week has to go to the very public rejoicing at Osama's death. TV3 crossed to Paul Henry, of all people, live in America for drunken chants of USA. I think Paul Henry would have had the same grin at a book burning. People say Osama deserved it because he was a monster, but they forget that he was our monster. We couldn't shovel enough CIA guns his way when he was killing Soviets. Osama was a monster we built. Let's cut the sanctimonious rejoicing bullshit because, frankly, we don't deserve to celebrate. $1.2 trillion cost and anywhere between 100,000 and 1 million dead civilians isn't a victory. Whānau, we lost the war on terror the day we announced a war on terror. Let's end the show by handing out this week's Barack Obama People's Hero of the Week award. Brothers and sisters, this week's Barack Obama People's Hero of the Week award has to go to old Obama for killing Osama. After almost a decade, Obama has assured his re-election by ordering the death of Osama and throwing his body overboard into the sea. This sounds less like a moment of justice and more like a mafia hit conducted by The Sopranos. I can't wait for the new PlayStation game Smoked 'Em, where you relive the moment of assassination from the Situation Room just like Obama. What's less exciting than shooting an elderly unarmed man protected only by his wife than replaying the moment over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? That's it for tonight, folks. Don't forget Citizen A plays Friday 7:30 p.m, Freeview 21 and Sky 89. Follow me on my Citizen Bomber Twitter account and Citizen Bomber Facebook site. It has all the shows posted up online and allows you to befriend other like-minded citizens for romantic news moments. Good night, New Zealand. You stay classy, Aotearoa. Righto.